Simply Oishi channel. I'm Yuki, and in this tutorial I'm going to show you how to make shiratama dango using tofu. And difference in using tofu instead of water is that it will give a more lighter, a fluffier, and softer texture compared to the ones you use with water. If you'd like to learn how to make the shiratama dango using water, I have a tutorial for that. And besides the texture, if you add tofu to it, you can get the more nutrients out of it. So this is a very common snack to make for children. And of course, you can make this with children. The children would love making this because of the gooey texture of the tofu and mixing with flour. It's like doing Play-Doh, edible Play-Doh. So actually it's a very common activity to do during the moon festivals. The kindergartens will have the children make the dango that resembles a full moon using tofu. It's called shiratama dango because we use shiratamako, which is shiratama flour. The direct translation is a white ball flour. But if you can't get shiratamako, of course you can use mochiko, because both of them are glutinous rice flour. The difference in the two flours is that the shiratamako is made by soaking the mochiko, the fine rice flour, into the water to remove some of the starch. Then it's dried and cracked into a granule. So it has less starch and it gives a little bit more a slipperier taste. So that is used in Japan, and in Japan for some reason shiratamako is much more easier to find compared to mochiko. But I think in most countries mochiko is the finer version of the rice flour, is easier to find, so I use that in this tutorial. I found shiratamako in Amazon USA, so I will leave a link in the description below, but feel free to use whichever flour you like. Shiratamako is actually a bit more expensive because it has that extra step, but it does taste a little bit more better. Okay, so let's get started. The ingredients we'll be using is glutinous rice flour, and you can use mochiko, which is the finer version, finer rice flour, or you can use shiratamako, like I explained. See how different it is. The other ingredient we'll be using is the tofu. There's two types of tofu in general, the firm tofu and the soft tofu. For making dango, I would recommend that you use the soft tofu. It's also called the silken tofu. In Japanese, it's kinugoshi tofu. So first you want to put 4 tablespoons of glutinous rice flour in a bowl. Then add 3 tablespoons of soft tofu. The amount of tofu you put in will depend on how soft your tofu is or how much water there is in your tofu. So I just can't say if it's 3 tablespoons. You might need 4 tablespoons sometimes. You may only need 2. So just mix it first. And if it's too soft, you can add more flour to it. And if it's too firm and crumbly, dry and crumbly, you can add a bit more tofu to it. As long as the end results are okay, it's okay what order you put in. So I'm gonna mix it, and it looks a bit dry at the moment, but if you keep on kneading, it should come together. If not, you just add a teeny bit of tofu inside. Don't add too much because it will suddenly get really, really sticky. The same as if you're making dango. Even though you think it's really dry, you add water and it becomes too sticky. So you want to add a little bit at a time. So just try to collect all the flour in the bowl, and after you've done that, you can just stick whatever that's on your hands to the stove ball. And if you keep on knitting, it will become soft. See, it was really dry, but after knitting, it's now quite sticky. So I'm glad I didn't put any extra tofu in there. So if it doesn't stick to your hand, it's okay. If it still sticks to your hand, it means that there's too much water in it, so you want to add a bit more flour to it. Okay. If it's really crumbly, you can add more tofu, a little bit of tofu, maybe like half a teaspoon at a time. Okay, so this is the dough. It is really sticky. Okay. So after you make the dough, you can roll it into a rope like this. Okay. And cut it into a desired size. So I'm gonna make all 8 balls here. So if you want to make them cook faster, you can always put a dimple in the middle. So if you're not going to put it in a skewer, this is going to speed up the cooking time. So once the water is boiling, you can just pop the dango in the water pot. After you pop it in, you want to give it a stir just to make sure it's not stuck to the bottom of the pot. Release it if it's stuck to the pot. And keep on cooking it, and then the dango will float to the top. So after 1 minute, you can see all the dango has come up to the surface. So you want to wait 1 more minute just to make sure that they're cooked through. While you're waiting, please get a bowl of ice cold water ready. Okay, I've waited for 1 minute, so I'm going to take it out and put it in the ice box. Like this. So I've been boiling the round ones as well, and this will take about 2 minutes. So it takes a bit longer to cook because they're round. And they've all floated to the top, so I'm going to wait 1 minute. Okay. Now I'm going to take this dango balls out after 1 minute into the ice bath and let it cool for a couple of minutes. So after cooking, this is what it looks like. I've made the regular shiratama dango for comparison, and this is the one with the tofu. So you can see the color is slightly like more ivoryish color for the tofu. It has a more tofu color, and the one with just water is pure white. And when you eat it, the texture, the one with the tofu will be more fluffier and softer, and it will keep softer for a longer period of time. Because usually for the shiratama dango, you don't put any sugar inside, so it will get a little bit more harder with time. But with tofu, it will keep soft for a longer period of time. That's it for today. I hope you enjoyed my tutorial for making shiratama dango using tofu. So I'm gonna taste it now. I'm gonna taste one that's we made using tofu. It's very fluffy and very soft, and you'll taste a hint of tofu in this. And I'm gonna try the one without the tofu, with just water, the regular shiratama dango. I also have the tutorial for this. So this one is a bit more chewier, a little bit more firmer compared to the tofu, the one with the tofu. So it really depends on how you like your dango. So if you like it really soft and fluffy, you can put tofu inside. If you like it a bit more chewier, you can use the one with the water. But of course, if you use tofu, you'll get more nutrients, such as protein or saponin or calcium. So if you're making this for your children, or if you want more nutrition out of your snacks, I recommend you to make the one with the tofu. But it does have a hint of tofu, so if you're not too fond of tofu, you can put some more a topping over it. Of course, normally we don't eat it plain like I did right now, but yes, you can put your favorite topping over it, such as anko or kinako or black sesame or whatever toppings. I also have the tutorial on how the popular dango toppings, so you can watch that as well. Okay. If you enjoyed this tutorial, please give it a thumbs up, and if you'd like to see more videos coming up like this in the future, please subscribe to my channel. If you'd like to take my online cooking classes, please go to the link in the description below, or if you'd like to visit me and take my cooking classes here in Tokyo, Japan, please visit my website for more details on the courses you can take. Thank you for watching, and I hope to see you again next time. Bye-bye.